The fate of humanity rested on Captain Swift's shoulders as his ship shook with the force of the alien pirate Growlar cannon fire. Nothing could have prepared Swift for the viciousness of the alien ambush in the notorious Balerian Belt. As he witnessed the carnage of the boarding Growlar slaughtering his screaming crew, he knew time was running out. The predatory aliens tore through the freighter's failing shields with claws dripping in human blood. Swift had mere moments to rally his surviving crew for a desperate last stand, or be butchered down to the last man. The freighter's weapons were armed and ready to unleash hell, but it would not be enough. Gritting his teeth, Swift vowed to take as many Growlar with him as possible. Against the odds, he had to repel the enemy for the slim chance of humanity's survival. Their time was short, but surrender was not an option. The gunfire shredded the ship. Swift saw the bridge fall apart around him. Screens sparked and died. Burnt wires stung his nose. He wiped the sweat from his brow with steady hands. "Engineering, now," he told Sato. They ran through the corridor, jumping over fallen friends. The door hissed open to the engine room. Screens blinked red alerts. The crew looked back, afraid but ready. "Schematics," Swift said. The screen showed the ship's layout. "We vent them out," he told Sato, pointing to the screen. Sato nodded, tracing the vents with his finger. "They won't see it coming." The intercom blared. "Crew, evacuate ship." The Growlar stopped prowling, confused by the words. Sato's fingers flew across the console, starting the venting sequence. With a roar, the ship blew the Growlar into space. Swift checked the cameras. The Growlar ships drifted, understaffed. "We take the fight to them," he told his crew. They pulled on bulky spacesuits and checked their weapons. Ramirez, the security chief, gripped his gun tight. "Fast and quiet," Swift said into their radios. One by one, they floated into the blackness towards the ugly Growlar mothership. It loomed close, unaware. Swift's boots thumped softly as they crept across the hull. No one breathed inside their helmets. The ship grew larger ahead of them. Swift stopped at the hatch, placing an explosive. He steadied his breathing and waited. The blast was muted in the void. The hatch broke open. Swift's team swarmed inside, deep in enemy territory. It was a bold new chapter for humankind. The void surrounded Captain Swift's team as they floated through space. They clung to their crippled ship with thin cords. The Growlar mothership's skin crawled with guns and sensors. Swift paused at the access hatch. His hands were steady as he planted the charge. A simple device, but he trusted it. He signaled his team. Their spacesuit lights flickered back. The charge blew the hatch inward. The team shot through the breach, rifles up. Inside, chaos ruled. Crew flailed, unready for the violent entry. Bullets flew in bursts from Ramirez's gun. Each one hit its target. Growlar after Growlar went limp, drifting aimlessly without gravity. Ramirez's face was calm behind his visor. Swift moved in behind him. He trusted Ramirez's skill to clear a path. Sato worked a commandeered control panel next. Her fingers danced over strange Growlar glyphs. She isolated ship sections with quick taps. Doors sealed shut, trapping pirates, cutting them off from the nerve center. Soon the bridge was theirs, taken fast by training and grit. Swift slid into the alien helm chair. Different hands had made the controls. He watched the celestial trail get hammered through the window. Now or never. With Sato's help, he linked to the weapons and turned the mothership's guns on its own fleet. Swift's hands flew on the triggers. Energy bursts recoiled the nearby ships. Confused signals crackled as the ships tried to understand the traitor. On the bridge, Ramirez stood guard at the sole entry point. His gun stayed up. He repelled all Growlar attempts to retake their heart. His breaths came steady, saving strength. Swift grinned under his helmet. He danced the commandeered ship, dodging and weaving. Sato fed him weak points. Under Swift's hands, the ship moved with deadly grace. He opened comms to the celestial trail. "Engineering, full power, prep to warp. We're clearing a path." With skill no Grolar could match, Swift spun the mothership in a tight arc. The weapons flared. The remaining ships were disabled. Path open, Swift signaled the celestial trail. The human ship lurched into motion, its structure groaning. It pulled from the wreckage, bound for open space. Aboard both ships, humans let out a silent cheer in the vacuum. They had faced hell and prevailed, damaged but unbroken. Above all, victorious. Captain Swift docked the stolen Grolar mothership. The chatter exploded. Miners, politicians, everyone buzzed about the daring celestial trail escape. Swift's hijack sparked defiance and hope in humanity. Admiral Holtz called Swift to the Defender's bridge. Her face showed past battles, eyes pierced with soldiers' respect. Officers and maps filled the bustling bridge. Swift stood at attention. "Your stunt lit the fleet's fire," Holtz said. "But we need more than stunts." She eyed Swift. "Got intel from your prize. We'll take the fight to them." She slid a data pad. It screeched to Swift. "I'm making the anti-piracy task force. You lead." "We'll refit the trail? Give it teeth?" She asked. "Can I count on you?" "Yes, ma'am." Swift narrowed his eyes with determination. "We'll give them hell." Holtz nodded, a smile touching her lips. "Thought you might." Training started that hour. Swift, Sato, and Ramirez gathered the team in the cargo bay, now a training ground. They practiced in suits with rifles, simulating a Grolar base assault. Boots and thumps filled the bay. "Hit them fast and get out," Swift said. He adjusted their stances, honed their moves. "No mistakes. Everyone comes home." Sato worked alongside, mind on Grolar glyphs and systems. She remembered the alien controls under her fingers. She'd crack them open. Ramirez watched the squad, face like stone. He checked the weapons for top condition. He thought of the fallen, the corridor screams. Now they'd hunt. The holographic asteroid base loomed. Swift outlined the plan, laser dot skating over the rock. "We infiltrate as one of them. Hit the base, pretend we're taking fire. They'll let us dock. Help a mothership. We strike." They drilled relentlessly, honing every second off entry time, perfecting aim, sharpening communication. The plan took shape, a dance waiting for the stage. Days blurred together. Muscles ached, fatigue set in, determination held strong. They became a single unit in harmony. Finally ready, Swift, Sato, Ramirez, and their forged crew would strike the Grolar pirates. Infiltrate, disable, open the path for humanity as a galactic force, not prey. The armed and armored celestial trail set course for the hidden base. At the helm stood Swift, Sato at his side, Ramirez at the airlock. Silent, eyes burned with the same fire that ignited resistance. The moment came to take the fight to the enemy's door. Swift gripped the cold metal controls. He eased the ship toward the asteroid base. They slipped into orbit silently. A message appeared granting docking clearance. Swift breathed out slowly, signaling the crew. "Gear up," he said over comms, voice even and low. The bay doors groaned open. Swift led them into the dark base. Their visors glowed faintly. They moved with purpose, placing explosives carefully. Sato's hands flew across her device, triggering false alarms. The Grolar crew scrambled, confused. Swift advanced steadily toward command, focused. The team pulsed with energy. Swift shot the first guard cleanly. He fell with a thud. More Grolar rushed to defend the base, but human adaptability proved stronger. Each fight was short and decisive. They took command center forcefully. Swift swept in, team fanning out behind him. The Grolar inside stood little chance against their precision. Sato seized comms, sending a clear message across all frequencies. Ramirez guarded the entrance, a wall against counterattack. He relayed fleet coordinates. Ships appeared, securing the perimeter. "Well done, Captain Swift," came Admiral Holtz's proud voice. Swift surveyed the aftermath, feeling the weight of responsibility. He saw the cost of victory, the burden, but his resolve hardened. Humanity would stand tall. "We press on," he vowed silently. "For every fallen soul, we'll save 1,000 more." Word spread. The Grolar now knew humans weren't sheep. Fear flickered in their eyes. They would face humanity's defiance again. The dim light made Swift's face look stressed, but not scared. Sato and Ramirez stood with him around the metal table, staring at the display. "Kragar's too smart for tricks," Swift said. His fingers drummed the table. "We need a solid plan. Concrete." Sato's hands stopped moving. "Let's mine the asteroids. Automated drones. Make Kragar come to us." Swift nodded. "Yeah, and when he does, we hit him with everything." He looked at Sato. "You can build those drones?" "I can do it," she said. Ramirez slid a cartridge into his rifle. "And I'll blast anything that gets through." Admiral Holtz's 3D image appeared. She squinted at their plans and frowned. "Risky. You sure?" Swift stared back, eyes fixed. "It's our best shot." She nodded. "Make it happen then, Captain." They turned the asteroid field into a deadly trap. Sato programmed the floating rocks as killers. Ramirez set the mines with care. They waited. Kragar's fleet crept into view, shadows against the black. Arrogant, hungry. "Activate the field," Swift said, voice hard as steel. Mines exploded to life. Ships rocked, broke apart. Sato's drones swarmed the mess, firing, hitting, dodging. On his ship, Swift grabbed the railgun controls. They hummed and roared, slicing enemy hulls. Krager's massive flagship appeared, bristling with guns. It turned them on Swift. The other ships looked to it for commands. "We've got their attention," Swift said. "Time to finish this." Ramirez readied his post, rifle in hand. "Nothing's getting by me." Sato's hands flew, guiding drones, sealing holes. "The flagship's alone now." Swift dodged blasts as his ship groaned. "Engineering, give me everything." The celestial trail surged ahead. Kragar's giant ship loomed, ready to crush them. The railgun sang deep, unleashing hell on the defenses. The enemy hull cracked and shook. Swift dodged a barrage, face set. "Status, Sato." She wiped sweat away. "Drones are holding the rest back. Now or never." Kragar's voice snarled over comms. "You're a pest, Swift. I'll enjoy watching you die." "Not today," Swift replied, voice cold. They traded blows like monsters. Swift flew sharp and nimble. Kragar attacked, relentless and hard. Alarms screamed as the trail shuddered. Swift piloted them through the deadly dance. Then the railgun found its mark. Kragar's ship went dark, drifting, defeated. Quiet fell, broken only by breaths and system beeps. Swift relaxed back. "We did it. For humanity." Ramirez nodded, relaxing his grip. "For those we lost." Sato smiled exhaustion and triumph. "For the future, we won." Outside, Krager's fleet scattered in pieces. The day belonged to them. The bridge shook as Captain Swift jerked the ship around, dodging the bright blasts from the Grolar ships. The metal groaned and sparked with each near miss. Red emergency lights cast shadows across Swift's focused face. Krager's voice boomed over the comm. "Surrender, Swift. I'll grant you an honorable death." Krager sounded respectful but triumphant. Swift slammed his fist on the console, silencing alarms. "You think you've won, Krager? I've still got one move left. I challenge you. Face me alone at the old station. Unless you're scared of a human in a fair fight?" Silence fell. Swift felt his crew watching, hopeful but worried. Sato and Ramirez exchanged glances, knowing the stakes were high. Kragar's laughter crackled through the speakers. You amuse me, Swift, I accept. I'll show you Grolar might firsthand. The deserted station loomed, silent and huge. Swift's boots echoed down empty corridors, blaster heavy and reassuring in his grip. He moved carefully, ready for anything. Kragar lurked somewhere close. The alien admiral emerged from shadows. His blaster hummed, threatening in the quiet hall. Human strength is an illusion. Only might has purity. Swift drew fast and fired. It's the human spirit that wins today, not brute force. Their fight filled the station with blaster shots and dodges, walls charred by wild shots. Both bled and breathed hard. Kragar advanced confidently, but Swift matched him, resolute. When Swift ducked a wide blast and returned fire, Kragar staggered back, hit. He smashed his beacon with a clenched fist, a beacon that screamed one command: destroy. Swift sprinted for space. The celestial trail surged into view as he leaped. Sato had timed it perfectly. The airlock snapped open, and Swift pulled himself inside. From the cockpit, Swift watched the Grolar fleet obliterate the station. Shards of metal drifted like a dead titan's bones. Leaderless, the fleet fell to coordinated human forces. Ships drifted, wrecked hulks in the aftermath. Aboard the celestial trail, humans savored solemn victory. Kragar's fall promised more. Humanity would not bow, not today or ever. The bridge was busy. Screens blinked with data. Alerts chirped about Kragar's death. Captain Swift stood firm at the table. He studied the intel rushing in. The Growlers turned on each other without Kragar leading them. Admiral Holtz watched too. Her fingers tapped the cold metal. They shared a look. It was time for Operation Starhammer. "Dismantle their network," Swift said with a brisk nod. "Now!" The crew scrambled. Targets filled the screens: depots, caches, slave markets. The anti-piracy task force struck each target precisely. Explosions destroyed the depots orbiting in space. Weapon stores vanished in fire. Then came the slave markets. Swift kicked in their doors. Gunshots echoed in the vast halls. The shackles fell away. The slaves blinked in their sudden freedom. Tales spread of the human captain. He stared down death itself. The tales grew legendary. More aliens turned their guns to help fight. Swift watched the screens, cold and calculating. Space did not scare him. It led him deeper toward the decisive strike on the Grolars. Then a message came, suggesting a truce. Swift considered it, brow furrowed. "Could be a trap," Holtz warned steadily. "Or end this without more blood," Swift replied. "Neutral ground. We'll talk." At the neutral station, a high-ranking Grolar waited inside. His lined face had seen many questioned wars. Their talk was terse. Swift measured his words but stayed firm. The Grolar spoke of change, of a new order without piracy. An uneasy alliance formed. This alliance proved vital for the Nexus assault. Swift's team worked hard with the stolen intel. They unraveled the Nexus defenses. When time came, the fleet moved as one. Ships converged. The attack began. Lasers carved through black space. The alliance held. Led by Swift, humanity had risen. His name echoed on 1,000 worlds, a symbol of hope. As he commanded the storm, his face stayed resolute. For every slave freed, Swift drove them on. The Nexus was a symbol of fear. Dismantling it meant dismantling fear itself. And that was humanity's intent. The engines hummed on the Celestial Trail's command deck. Tension filled the cramped quarters. Swift paced, his eyes darting over the humans and hulking Grolar sharing oxygen. Whispers of distrust slithered through the ranks. Faces tightened at the former enemies among them. "We trust them after what they did?" someone hissed. Eyes asked questions too dangerous to speak aloud. Swift stopped and faced his crew. The whispering went silent. "We know the past," he said steadily. I've seen the Growler bleed and fight for the same peace we want." The defected Growler shuffled, avoiding eye contact. "Our scars run deep," Swift continued, "but so does our longing for a galaxy without fear. We are one fleet, one mission. Look left and right, that's who we fight for. Everyone wanting to live without terror." Some crew nodded slowly. Others clenched skeptical fists. "We stand together!" Swift's voice boomed, echoing off steel. "Together we'll end the pirates!" Wary clapping grew louder, more assured. The Growlar's hard expressions softened. They clapped alongside the humans. Swift turned to Sato. "We're on," he said. She tapped her wrist, and the ships jumped to faster-than-light travel. Stars streamed past, bound for the Nexus. "Battle stations!" Swift called. The crew sprang into action. Ships spun and weapons clicked, ready for battle. Sato slid next to Swift, eyeing encrypted messages. "Growlar allies confirm. They're with us." Chaos reigned in the enemy lair. Codes and defectors left the Nexus sputtering. Lights flickered, doors slammed open and shut. Assault teams braced in the airlock. Swift pulled his helmet on with a hiss. Ramirez readied his weapon, eyes sharp. They burst into the station. Boots thudded on metal floors. Blaster fire sizzled past, scorching walls. But they pushed through, cover to cover. Ramirez fired short bursts, precise. Swift moved in his shadow, steps and breath in sync. The core loomed ahead. "You're clear," Sato said in their ears. They breached the final door. The Nexus core pulsed. The Pirate King stood surrounded by loyalists, menace pouring off him. Swift's hand twitched near his weapon. "Stand down," he bellowed. "It's over." The pirates hesitated. The king searched Swift's eyes, seeing not just a soldier, but resistance itself. Weapons clattered to the floor. Hands rose in surrender. The king stepped forward, boots ringing out. He stopped before Swift, nodding slowly. "You have won." Swift cuffed the pirate, the sound echoing loudly. He led the defeated king away. Ramirez stood guard at the door. Sato told the fleet the news. Relief and victory rippled through human and Growlar ranks.
Battle scarred every face and suit. The Nexus had fallen. The pirate reign ended with defiance, not whispers.
The future promised peace. Emerging from darkness into light, they carried not just scars of war, but seeds of hope. The battle wreckage floated silently through space. Captain Swift stood on his ship's bridge. He put his hand on the console. He felt it humming under his palm. This old freighter had been to hell and back with him. Now it led a new peace fleet. Ramirez walked onto the bridge. His boots clanged on the metal floor. "Rebuilding's underway," he said steadily. His voice was rock solid, dependable. Sato came over with a datapad. Her eyes were serious but had a spark of promise. "Old pirate zones have traders now, not fighters," she told Swift. Swift nodded. Pride warmed his chest. The Growlar Empire was gone, reduced to cautionary tales. In its place, humanity led rebuilding efforts. Swift made sure every species from the battle got a say. Their sacrifice mattered. Old Growlar enemies now worked alongside humans. Trust didn't come easy, but they built and planned together, dreaming of peace. "Peacekeeping force plans?" Ramirez asked. "Coming together," Swift replied. "Training starts soon. Non-lethal tech for the fleet." Sato smiled. Her screen glowed with bright data. "This fleet will be the shield and handshake of the Alliance," she said. Swift looked out at the endless stars. The black void once promised death. Now it held fragile promise. The peace was worth every drop of blood shed. Retirement flickered in Swift's mind, a quiet life somewhere. But that wasn't him, not while he could still serve and protect. His legacy wasn't battles. It was the future being built. "Work to do," Swift said firmly. We're making history here, showing our best. Fuck yeah, Ramirez grinned. Sato's hands moved fast, mapping patrol sectors. The celestial trail stood ready for the journey ahead. Swift's name would echo not as a destroyer, but as a unifier. The ship sailed into the starry unknown. Humanity was together, ready to face whatever came next.